Hello, it's Dr. John calling in from the beautiful city of Iloilo and the Panay in the Philippines. Kind of right in the middle of the whole country, the heart of the Philippines. Anyway, it's a gorgeous place to live. I'm very proud and happy to be a person who lives here. I'm not a citizen, I'm still an Americano. Or a cano, and I've enjoyed the fruits of this culture here and actually feel very welcome here. So I'm just going to show you a little bit about the digs here and then go on to explain what the hell happened to the President of the United States. I mean, what happened there? Well, just for starters, here's kind of what I'm looking out at. There's these things are called sky gardens, and they have, I think there's 6 of them at the place called the Palladium. And they're just little add-on spaces that you can just come and congregate with your friends or just hang out and look at the views. And I think it's pretty generous of them to put as many in as they did. My beef right now is that they're all not open because the excuse they're using now is that somebody might jump over that rail right there. And my kickback has always been, well, why don't we just jump out of our own condos? I mean, why go down there? I mean, why mess up that place, you know? And then there was a water leak for a while, but it's been 2 years and it's still, they let you go to 1 of them out of the 6 right now. So I guess I'm complaining a bit, but that's here nor there. What I'm going to do now is just talk about the evolution of Donald J. Trump from an angry white surgeon's perspective. And see, maybe some of you agree with me, and otherwise you're offended by me, or possibly you just think I'm not a very intelligent person and my ability to deduce anything logical is very impaired by my whatever the hell it is, being white. Anyway, so the way I looked at the whole situation was back in 2015 when Trump came down the golden elevator and he raised his hand kind of up like Caesar, and I'm thinking, man, we need somebody to save us, because I believe that Hillary Clinton creature is not only a swamp monster, but I think she's possessed. I think she's an actual witch. I think she does have a kill list where if someone gets on the wrong side of her, she would actually have them put to death. And, you know, after it happened 40 times, I really have gone to believe fully that the Clinton hit squad was out there. And Bill Clinton kind of knew what was going on, but he didn't, you know, he wasn't the Don making the decision. It was Big Hillary and her satanic creatures of the swamp. But anyway, so Donald Trump coming down the elevator, I thought, well, I gotta support this guy because he's not gonna go to war. He's gonna lower my taxes, and he's gonna slow down this immigration BS that's going on in the country, and maybe save some money for the Americans so we can get our butts out of debt. That was all big talk. Anyway, I voted for him, and during the first 4 years that he ran, I didn't have any major problems other than the fact the way the COVID situation was handled was atrocious. It was an obvious intentional situation that the overloads of the world, I don't know if you hear those scooters in the background, but they drive me crazy. But anyway, the overlords had decided that we needed to cull the herd, and see what kind of power we really have to destroy the middle class. Turned out they had a lot of power, and they did a good job. They took the middle class and pretty much annihilated as much as they could, and then Biden finished them off. You can't run a business if you can't see the customers, especially if you're trying to terrify the customers that if they go outside and buy a lawnmower blade from you, they might kill their grandmother. Not with a lawnmower either. It's the virus you're going to bring home, and you had to magically stand 6 feet apart, which made no sense as a physician. And then believe magically in the virus that was created to look like Sputnik in a laboratory in China by combining a raccoon that looked like a bat with some other kind of otter. So it worked. The Johns Hopkins people put a thing on TV every night that was, we've got 1 million casualties now, 1 million Americans have died. Well, every year 10 million Americans die anyway, and that particular year when they started the count, nobody died of the flu. No one had the flu. No one had any other illnesses, and everybody that went to a hospital, including people admitted for motorcycle trauma, broken legs, and that's what I was participating in. You get a diagnosis of COVID because they could do the blood test on you and it would come back positive 100% of the time. They called it down so it only came back 90% of the time positive. But whoever they wanted, whenever they wanted more people in the hospital, they just made the test positive by making it more sensitive for a strand of amino acids, which everybody has in their bodies anyway, that kind of matched what they thought might be if they actually had found something called COVID. So it was all a joke. And in doing that, they ruined a lot of jobs. They tried to close me down. I mean, I was an independent orthopedic guy, and I had to go get crafty and wily, and ended up getting on a radio talk show and kind of saved my butt. I got people that were like-minded that thought that the whole COVID thing was a pile of skata, which is Greek for crap. So Trump did a poor job with that. You know, he said, we're going to get more ventilators. And at least we know now, obviously, the ventilators just killed more people because you put someone on a ventilator, it's like hitching a muffler up to their face and blowing their lungs out. That's what the recommended settings were, a little high. And it was about 90% terminal if you got put on a vent. But that was all part of the program, and I think any doctor that had real common sense or was smart or wily or not a robot understood it wasn't really something not right about this. But you know, I'm making pretty good money, and you know, the hospital's going to give me a bonus of $100,000 this year after they made $1 billion. Whatever. So anyway, Trump could have handled that way better. His instincts were to use ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, which were good, but they got squashed down pretty quickly on live TV. I don't know if you remember that in the Rose Garden, but it did all happen. So anyway, Trump went on and he lost because they cheated in the next election. And I felt sorry for him. I said, well, I'd be pissed off too, because obviously when it takes them 2 weeks to count the votes, they're not counting all the votes that they don't want to go to you, of course. So you get pretty much ripped off, and the entire country got ripped off because we needed to have a exhumed cadaver as a president, Joseph Biden. And there was even some question whether or not that was really him toward the end. It was a good-looking body double, though. I mean, I would say probably it was still him. But it was him falling off bicycles, falling down stairs, falling on his face, and crapping his pants, too. So he didn't have a great track record there, and he never made a decision, I don't believe. He was told what to say. So the next term comes around. I'm in America. I'm deciding that, you know, I hope to hell Trump gets in. I've done what I can for him. I've put in a vote, mail-in vote, because I was moving to the Philippines, you know, 3 weeks before the election, because I didn't really want to be there if he lost. I thought it was going to be dire. Things were going to get terrible. It would have been pretty bad with Kamala, too, I would say. But then Trump got in and did his best to lie about every damn thing he ever told us. First of all, you know, hey, I'm going to lower your taxes. You know what? I'm going to make it better for you. But I've got to give Israel a couple $100 billion, and we got to start a war, which are things I promised I wouldn't do. and maybe I'll start 2 or 3 more wars, you know, and create a lot of bedlam and chaos and mayhem on planet Earth, and that's exactly what's happening at this point in time. What happened, and why would he do that? Well, the first suspicion is the Epstein dossier and the hidden files, which have been available for the last, I think, 20 years. I mean, this information's not new. It's been held by the FBI, and they're just waiting for the appropriate time to extort somebody, and they found it now. They don't want Trump to be anything but a lame duck, but they want him to make war, because war makes money, and money makes the people in the deep state happy, because they make money on war. All the people getting, $1,000 stuffed in their pocket every time a Patriot missile goes off, they're out there. It's probably more like $1 million. Yeah, right. They cost them $2 million to make a missile now, and you're mass producing 500 a month. Screw that. Anyway, we're getting screwed over on everything. I remember when I was a kid, they had a $700 toilet seat that the Army got specially, and that was, 40 years ago. Now it would be like a $3,000 toilet seat. So getting back to the theories of whatever happened to Donald Trump, the one theory is that he's totally embarrassed about being in his tighty whities, being observed by some chuckling 12-year-olds making fun of his genitals or something. I think that might be one reason he wouldn't want to be out. And the other reason is that he's just severely blackmailed by Israel to where he's done some business deals that they've done some forensic accounting for him and will probably get him locked up in jail. I think that might be one reason he's trying to make it so the IRS cannot audit him, which is some special privilege that I wonder why he doesn't pass that on to the plebes. I think I would like to have that get out of jail free card, and he's going for it for billions and billions for him and his entire family. I mean, it's like Joe Biden pardoning everybody, every criminal that drew breath during his whole administration. They got to buy. But at least he was smart enough to get paid. Biden was making money, or his wife Jill was making a fortune in the background. Hey, you want a $1 million pardon? Well, we got one for sale. Come on over, BB. Anyway, so that's one theory. He's just, super blackmailed. The other is that he's actually slipped a nut. He's lost it. His marbles are out of cue. He's got problems processing things, and the dude's 80 years old. Although he didn't eat a lot of, or didn't drink a lot of booze or anything, he did eat a lot of shitty food. It could corrode up your arteries by the time you're 80. A lot of people don't make their best decisions in their 9th decades. So that could certainly have some reasonable chance of diminishing his intelligence. Has he been somehow indoctrinated into some bizarro cult of some variety, almost akin to the Epstein Isle thing, where they get some kind of satanic overload that promises you so much on Earth, and you get to have that bounty, but you have to pay back in the end. And right now it may be payback time for the whole United States, not just him. But something is wrong with the guy, and to me it's a bit embarrassing when you're doing the negotiating for a country with your McDonald's Big Mac and what else is he like? Coca-Cola, sitting at the Resolute desk talking about how you've got a deal worked out and you're just getting ready to make that deal happen, but then mysteriously the deal's off, and then we're going to bomb the people into oblivion. We're going to destroy their entire culture. We're going to be so heinous that these people will never exist as a race on Earth again. And you've got a president that says stuff like that. I mean, he's like somebody in the mob. It's not like presidential lingo. And I find that a bit embarrassing, that you got to be a bully, jerk, kind of unrealistic dude that probably the way he grew up in military school or wherever he was in his neighborhood, he was bigger than the other kids and could pick on them more, and he had more money and had more friends and had more devious training. I know this guy named Roy Cohen was his legal advisor, and I don't know if you looked at that guy. He looks like Joseph Goebbels. He is one ugly dude. He is so ugly that he takes your breath away, and little kids cry when they see his face. And that guy trained Donald Trump on the art of the deal and how you win a deal. What you do is you just keep saying the same thing over and over like a parrot. This is the best deal in New York. This is the best deal in New York. And if you come back and say, no, it's the 12th best deal, because there's all these other ones that are more fairly priced. No, this is the best deal in New York. We are winning the war. We're going to bomb you to oblivion. You keep repeating and repeating and repeating things until somehow or another there's some magic spell that goes over the people and they believe what you say, just like brainwashing or something, and that's part of the deal. Never admit that you're wrong, never suck it up, never say you're sorry, never be empathetic, which I cannot recall him coming around and saying, I'm so sorry for your children being blown up in that school. I just really made a big mistake there, and I really want you to know that it was not intentional. Or the converse would be, you're damn right it was intentional, and we got those little shits, and you better watch it or we're going to get the other kids you own too. That's how it comes off. So, telling us we're not going to war was a big zero for me as far as my trust in a leader that would lie to my face while he's smiling and getting the win, lying the most heinous lie. When you start killing people, that's serious. And what war does is it kills lots of people. There's many, many thousands. We're going to find out there's probably 1,000 American troops lost anyway. They're just lying to us about it. Oh no, we don't want to show all the stats, keep those down. Yeah, and to have a president also that is kind of rigging the stock market. I mean, you can buy into his early warning address before he comes out and tells us another lie about what he's doing to Iran. Oh, we're going to have a love festival with them this afternoon, and we're going to enjoy tea and crumpets, and we're going to sign the final deal, and everything is going to be just wonderful, and everybody's going to be happy, and they will never have a nuclear bomb again. Now, on that point, never have a nuclear bomb again. Who cares? What the hell business is that of ours? Israel's got nuclear bombs up to yin yang. And they're the most untrustworthy, freakish, genocidal destroyers of life that ever existed on planet Earth. And we don't give a shit about their nuclear bombs. I think the first thing we should do is go take them. But we don't know where they are because they've never had an inspection. They're the only place on the globe that hasn't been inspected by the Nuclear Regulatory Committee, because they just say, no, we don't want that. We're not going to have anybody look into our weapons, but we'd like to know more about yours. How the hell they pull that off, I don't get it. And what kind of spleeny, wimpy PUSs we have running our government that couldn't just say, move over, Jack. You show us every weapon or you're going to prison. Whatever. I don't see that happening either. So there's some kind of blackmail they have with nuclear bombs and all this, as our partners, our trusted allies that spend all their time gathering blackmail on us, trying to humiliate us, and the best news they could get is going to be one of our, destroyers or aircraft carriers. If Iran wanted to, they could sink those. And if they do that, that'll piss us off, and that's going to cost a lot of money, and Trump's going to say, okay, you did it now. We're going to be in forever. And Israel will go, yeah, we can use you just like we did with Iraq. We'll have you by the short hairs for the next decade. And we're getting all your military secrets for some reason. Thank you so much, Mr. President. You've helped push that through. I don't know if that's a done deal yet, where the Jews get all of our private information, but I have a feeling they got it all anyway. They'd steal it, and we have a bunch of criminals running our military, a bunch of sick hawks. I mean, you want to look up the word pedophilia, you look under the military bases around the world, you're going to find it. I'm sorry, people in the military, not every military base is run by creepy frickin' weirdos that enjoy killing people for a living. Anyway, not to dig a hole with our boys that have actually fought in wars. They got no problem. You mostly were forced into it, or you were convinced it was a great idea. Unfortunately, I hope you didn't go to Vietnam, because that was a bad idea, and it was a lie. So was some guy in a turban with a beard sitting in a mud hut directing planes into the Trade Center. Doesn't that seem a little bit far-fetched? Well, it certainly is, because that was a planned detonation that occurred. Brought us into a war that, damn, Israelis like that. We're right next door. We could do some of their killing. Anyway, I do believe that at this point in time, the President of the United States is mentally incapable of being a president. They're over the weekend here. This would be like the 9th of August or whatever. The President was trying to get the nuclear codes so he could be ready to use nukes if he needed. And of course, Bibi Netanyahu was patting him on the head. Good boy, John. Let's just send one over there and really tear the shit out of Iran. We'll do Iraq too. Why not? Why not do Syria? Why not? Why not? Shit, let's hit Albania. Let's see if those bunkers work on that little island out there that somehow miraculously the Trump family is going to turn into bunkers for billions. Nice. I don't know that we're going to get a ticket in there, boys and girls. So, where does this get us? I think at the end of this whole stupid waste of my time and your time talking about Donald Trump, the boy needs to be replaced. He needs to be taken out. He's making very bad decisions. As far as the Middle East, we lost. Get out of there. Put our tail between our legs. They've already destroyed all the bases. 27 bases destroyed. I didn't think they had that many over there, but that'll save us some money, not having to fix those up all the time. So, get our asses out of the Middle East. I'm in the Philippines now. I'm not totally crazy about us moving in here, actually. I think we'd be more of a target if we had 100,000 American soldiers here. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about our boys in uniform, but I don't know what a good mix they'd make up there in Clark. I don't know. Anyway, Hopefully you're not too offended. I say, dump Trump. Dump Trump. He's making horrible decisions. And if he gets a nuclear code, this is the end of the world as we know it. On that jury soundbite, Dr. John signing off in Iloilo City in the Philippines.